A company with 200 employees rolls out an AI platform across 3 departments. Within 60 days, internal reports show that average task completion time has gone up, not down, up. Meetings increase, ticket volume spikes. 2 senior managers quietly ask to go back to the old system, and someone on the leadership team says the sentence that kills more AI projects than any technical failure ever could. See? I told you this wouldn't work. That sentence is wrong, but it feels right. And that is the problem. What you are watching right now is an AI clone. This is not a real person on camera. This is intentional, because AI is already how we work, every day. If that is the kind of channel you have been looking for, calm, focused on real business, no hype, consider subscribing. Let me tell you what is actually happening inside that company with 200 employees. Before the AI tools arrived, people had routines. They were not efficient routines, but they were familiar. Sales knew where to find their numbers. Operations had their spreadsheets. Customer support had their scripts. The finance team had their monthly ritual of pulling reports from 3 different platforms and stitching them together in a shared drive. Nobody called it a system, but it was one. An unspoken, fragile, deeply human system. And everyone understood it. Not because it was well designed, but because they had been living inside it for years. Then AI shows up, and it does not replace that system. It disrupts it. Suddenly, sales has a new dashboard, but operations is still on the old spreadsheet. Customer support has an AI assistant, but nobody told them what it is supposed to handle and what still needs a human. Everyone is learning something different, at a different speed, with a different understanding of why. This is where the slowdown begins. Not because the technology is bad, but because the organization was never designed for this kind of change to happen all at once. Think about it like this. If you have ever renovated a house while still living in it, you know the feeling. For weeks, maybe months, everything is worse than before. You cannot find anything. Half the rooms are unusable. There is dust on everything. You start to wonder whether you should have just left things the way they were. But you are not failing. You are in transition. The old structure has to come apart before the new one can take shape. That is exactly what happens to organizations after they adopt AI. And almost nobody talks about it. Because the people selling AI tools have no incentive to warn you. Their job is done once you sign. And the people inside the company going through it do not have the language to describe what they are experiencing. They just know that everything feels harder. We build AI systems and automation for companies. That is what this channel is built on. Real work with real businesses. And the pattern we see over and over is the same. The first 60 to 90 days after implementation are almost always rougher than what came before. Not because the tools are failing, because the organization is reorganizing around something it does not yet fully understand. A department that used to handle customer intake manually now has a voice agent doing the first layer. Great, in theory. But the team was never told what happens when the voice agent escalates something. So now tickets sit in a queue that nobody owns. Response times actually get worse. If you're finding this useful, a like helps more people find this kind of content. Or take a mid-sized company that automates its internal reporting. The AI pulls data faster than any analyst could. But now the leadership team has more data than they know how to act on. So they schedule more meetings, more review sessions, more alignment calls. They created speed in one layer and congestion in the one above it. The tool did its job. The organization did not adapt around it. This is the part that most people miss, and it is the part that determines whether your AI investment pays off or becomes an expensive reminder of what could have been. AI does not just change what you do. It changes who is responsible for what. It changes how decisions get made. It changes which roles matter more and which ones quietly become irrelevant. And all of those shifts create friction. Not the kind of fiction that shows up in a vendor demo, the kind that shows up at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday when two departments are arguing over who is supposed to respond to a flagged customer issue that the AI identified but nobody expected. This is not a technology problem. This is a management problem that was dormant until AI exposed it. And this is where it gets really interesting. The companies that push through this messy middle, the ones that treat the slowdown not as failure, but as information, they come out the other side fundamentally different. Not just faster, structurally different. Because what the slowdown really does is force the organization to confront things it has been avoiding for years. Unclear ownership, redundant processes, roles that exist because of tradition, not function, meetings that produce nothing, reporting layers that add complexity but not clarity. Most organizations have been carrying this weight for a long time. They have learned to work around it. They compensate with extra communication, extra headcount, extra meetings, and it works, barely, until something forces all of that into the open. AI is that something. It does not create those problems. It just makes them impossible to ignore. And here is what is worth understanding. The organizations that were already well structured before AI arrived barely feel the slowdown at all. They absorb it. They adapt in weeks instead of months, which tells you everything you need to know. The slowdown is not caused by AI. It is caused by the gap between where the organization is and where it needs to be. The companies that fail with AI are not the ones who hit the slowdown. Every company hits the slowdown. The ones who fail are the ones who interpret the slowdown as evidence that AI does not work. So they pull back, they reduce scope, they quietly shelve the project and tell themselves they tried. The ones who succeed do something different. They look at the slowdown and ask, what is this revealing about how we actually operate? And then they fix that. Not the AI, the organization. That is the shift. That is what separates a company that tried AI from a company that was transformed by it. The slowdown is not the obstacle. The slowdown is the process. It is the part where the old structure breaks down just enough for a better one to take its place. I have seen companies go from overwhelmed to operating with half the meetings, clearer ownership, and faster execution, not because they found a better AI tool, but because the AI forced them to become a better organization. And that does not happen on day one. It does not happen in a demo. It does not happen in a pitch deck. It happens in the messy middle, where most people lose faith. So if your company just adopted AI and everything feels harder than before, that does not mean you made the wrong choice. It probably means you are exactly where you are supposed to be. The slowdown is not a sign that you failed. It is a sign that the transformation is real. It's nothing got harder, nothing actually changed. The question is whether you have the patience and the clarity to let the slowdown teach you what it is trying to teach you, and whether the people making decisions in your organization can tell the difference between a project that is failing and a company that is evolving. I would like to hear from you. Has your company hit this wall? Did you push through it? Or did someone pull the plug too early? Tell me in the comments. The more honest, the better. I will see you in the next one.